All right, let's talk about something that's probably running on your network at this very moment, silently putting you at huge risk. It's called NTLM, and it's basically a 30-year-old ghost hiding in our modern systems. So we're going to figure out why it's still haunting us. I mean, really think about that. You've got the latest firewalls, cutting-edge AI security tools, but what if the protocol that's actually verifying your identity is from the dial-up era? For a ton of organizations, that's the scary truth. And it's a massive hole we need to patch, like yesterday. So, to really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to take a trip back in time. We need to unpack the story of NTLM, where it came from, and why this piece of tech history has become a ghost in our modern networks. At its heart, NTLM, or LAN Manager, is all about authentication. Its whole job is to prove you are who you say you are when you're trying to access something on the network. It does this using a method called challenge response, which sounds pretty secure on paper, but as we're about to find out, the way it's built has a massive fundamental flaw. You can see this evolution here. It's kind of like a security arms race. We started way back with LAN, which was, let's be honest, terrible. Then we got NTLM v1 and a much better NTLM v2. But here's the kicker. The modern, secure replacement, Kerberos, showed up with Windows 2000. That was over 2 decades ago. And somehow, NTLM is still hanging around. Now, to be fair, we have to give NTLM some credit. Back in the day, it solved a huge problem: how to log in without sending your password across the network in plain text. It was a crucial step forward. But the world it was built for, a world of small, trusted local networks, that world is long gone. Okay, so let's dive into the technical heart of the problem. Why is this protocol so dangerous when it sounds okay on the surface? Well, it all comes down to a tiny but fatal flaw in how it works. So here's the 3-step dance. Your computer says, "Hey server, I want to connect." The server says, "Oh yeah, prove it. Here's a random string of data." Your computer takes that data, uses a hash of your password to encrypt it, and sends it back. The server checks it, and you're in. Simple, right? But did you catch what's missing? Your computer never asks the server to prove who it is. And that one missing step, that complete lack of server authentication, is the fatal flaw. It basically throws the door wide open for something called a relay attack, where a hacker just sits in the middle and passes your login along. It also makes pass-the-hash attacks possible, and its crypto is so old that hashes can often be cracked offline. These aren't just bugs that can be patched. They're baked into the very design of the protocol. Okay, enough theory. Let's talk about what this open door actually looks like in the real world when attackers come knocking. And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This is straight from CISA, the US cybersecurity agency. They're saying NTLM relay attacks aren't some obscure theoretical thing. No, they are one of the most common ways that attackers get a foothold and then take over an entire network. And to put a name to this threat, let's talk about a famous exploit that takes advantage of this NTLM weakness, petit potem. It's the perfect and frankly terrifying example of how an ancient protocol flaw enables a super modern and dangerous attack. So here's the gist of how petit potem works. An attacker basically tricks a server, even a super important domain controller, into trying to log in to them. That server then uses NTLM, and the attacker just grabs those powerful credentials out of the air and uses them to take over everything. It is literally a straight shot from this old protocol to a full network compromise. Game over. Phew, okay, that's the bad news. The good news? We've had the solution for over 20 years. It's time to talk about the modern standard for Windows authentication, Kerberos. This chart really tells the whole story. But if you look at just one thing, look at that first row, mutual authentication. With Kerberos, your computer proves it's you, and the server has to prove it's the real server. That one change kills relay attacks dead. Instead of passing around password hashes, Kerberos uses a trusted system to hand out encrypted tickets. It's just a smarter, more secure design from the ground up. So if Kerberos is so great, why don't we just, turn NTLM off? Well, unfortunately, it's not quite that simple. We need a real plan to pull the plug safely without breaking everything in the process. And this is it, right? This is the big question everyone in IT has been asking for years. If we know NTLM is a ticking time bomb, and we've had the solution forever, why is this ghost still in the machine? Well, here's the problem. Somewhere on your network, there's probably a forgotten ancient application,
Or maybe that old multifunction scanner in the corner that only knows how to speak NTLM. It has no idea what Kerberos is. If you just flip the off switch on NTLM, critical stuff might just stop working. And that fear, the fear of breaking something important, is what has kept NTLM alive for so long.
But there is a safe path forward. It's a 5-step project. Step 1, you audit. You don't block anything yet, you just turn on the lights and see who's still using NTLM. Step 2, you analyze those logs and figure out what's a legitimate old system and what's just a misconfiguration. Step 3, you remediate. You fix, you update, you replace what you can. And only then, as step 4, do you actually enforce the block. Finally, you just monitor and fine-tune. So yeah, this isn't about just flipping a switch and hoping for the best. This is a real, deliberate security project. It takes planning and care, but the payoff in reduced risk is absolutely massive. And if you need a little more motivation to get started, the clock is ticking. Microsoft is already moving towards disabling NTLM by default in future versions of Windows. The rest of the world is moving on, and you really don't want to be the one left behind with the insecure front door. So let's wrap this up. The best way to think about NTLM isn't as a feature. It's security debt. Every single day you leave it turned on, you're racking up more risk. The attacker tools get better, the exploits get easier, and your debt gets bigger. It's time to start paying it down. So I'll leave you with this final thought. NTLM is just one example of an old protocol creating a very modern risk. What other ghosts are hiding in your network? And what's your plan to finally help them rest in peace?